Welcome to lesson 51, and in this lesson you're going to identify the y-intercepts. These are the three things that we're going to look for in your work that you can understand the context of the y-intercept, whether it's an equation, a table, or a graph, and that you can identify it in all three different forms, and finally that you can identify the coordinate pairs for a y-intercept. And here's a hint: the x is always 0, so you just have to figure out what the b is. Now let's get started with today's lesson. And let's try these out with equations now. Remember, we're still looking for the b when we have y-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. Y, this is again the y coordinate when x equals 0. So looking at our first one, is there a b over here? Nope, there is not. There is no b here. So our b is just a 0. So when x is 0, our y is 0. Let's prove it algebraically. Let's see, -6 times 0. All right, we can do that. -6 times 0 is just 0. So when x is 0, y is 0. We've proven our point. Let's look at the next one. Y equals 2x minus 5. So just looking at it in y-intercept form, our b is -5. Let's test it algebraically. Y equals 2x minus 5. 2 times 0 minus 5. All right, 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 5 is -5. So there's our intercept. When x is 0, y is -5. And let's do one more. Here we have y equals 1/4 x plus 1/3. So our b is 1/3. So let's test this out. Y equals 1/4 x plus 1/3. All right, 1/4 times 0 plus 1/3. 1/4 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 1/3 is 1/3. So once again, when x is 0, our y coordinate is 1/3. And we can clearly identify it. So you can see it in all these cases. We've proven it algebraically. There's nothing here, so I'm just going to put plus 0 so you can see it there. We can use it when we have an equation in y-intercept form. We can just look for the b, which will tell us the y coordinate for our y-intercept when x is 0. And we can prove it algebraically as well. Hit pause so you can jot this down in your notes. Okay, Math Marvels, in this lesson, we're going to try and identify the y-intercept. So basically, this is when x equals 0, what is y? And we're going to look for that point. So the point when we have 0, b. And b is what we look for when we have our equation y equals mx plus b. But you're going to see that a little bit later on, so I'm going to hit pause on that for a second. Now just look at your graph, and this is the easiest one because you're going to look when x equals 0, meaning you're going to look at your y-intercept because this is when x is at 0. When does that, your line, this line right here, intersect with this intercept? So that's all you're looking for. You're just looking for where they crisscross, and it's here at 0, -9. So that is your y-intercept. That's basically it. It's a nice visual, just looking for that point when x is 0, what is y? Hit pause so you can jot this down, and we're going to try and recognize our y-intercepts using equations and graphs in a moment. For this last example, I decided I'm going to be a pattern seeker. I'm going to look to see if I identify a pattern in our table that can help me figure out when x equals 0. So that's going to be my goal. So when x is 0, what is the y going to be? That's going to be my y-intercept. And luckily, this one has a pretty easy pattern, so this will definitely work. But I am going to give you a second method in case your pattern, your table isn't as easy. All right, so look for the change in x's. And I noticed that my x's are changing by 10. So I know I can just go back and change by 10 for my x's. How about my y's? This is linear, so there should be a constant pattern. And from 480 to 630, that's a difference of 150. From 630 to 780, yep, that's a difference of 150. And from 780 to 930, 80 plus 50 is 830 plus another 100. Yep, 150. So I could just go backwards again from 480. This is all I have to figure out. From 480, if I subtracted 150, I would get 330. So when x equals 0, y is 330. So B is equal to 330. Now, to be fair, this is a very convenient, easy pattern. It started with an easy number, so it's pretty easy to see. This will not always be true. So this is not always the most reliable strategy for this. Instead, we're going to use our rate of change formula, and we're going to use algebra. So I'm going to put ROC for rate of change, and then we're going to use algebra to solve for y. Watch what I'm going to do. My rate of change formula, I'm going to use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I'm just going to choose 2 points. So 630 minus 480 and 20 minus 10. My top numbers are 150. 20 minus 10 is 10. So my slope is equal to 15. So m is equal to 15. That's going to be important. M equals 15. Now watch how I'm going to use algebra when m equals 15, and I'm going to use any point. Choose any coordinate pair. I'm going to choose 10 and 480. I want to choose those. And now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in my formula. Y equals mx plus b. Y in this case is 480. My m is 15. My x is 10. Plus b. Now I have a situation where all I have to do is solve for my unknown b. 480 is equal to 150 plus b. Now I'm just going to subtract 150 from both sides. And b is equal to 330. So there you go. That's my b in the formula. So what is my y-intercept? My y-intercept, let me put it over here. When x equals 0, y is 330. That's what I plugged in. So there you have it, Math Marvels. You have 2 different ways of looking at a table and identifying your y-intercept. You can either find the pattern and try to find when x equals 0, what is y. So that's one way. Or you can use your rate of change formula to find the slope. And once you have the slope, you can go and choose a coordinate and use some algebra. All right, so that is our second big takeaway. So I prefer, honestly, this method where you find a slope first, then you take a coordinate, substitute, and solve for b. And once you have that, please make sure you're putting your y-intercept as a coordinate pair. When x equals 0, what is the y? And that's it for today's lesson, Math Marvels. You definitely have this. You can do this. It's just putting all the pieces together. Let's get some practice in. And if you need some support, please check in with your peers or another adult with your questions. I'll see you in the next lesson, Math Marvels. Take care.